Welcome to MyJane, My Story, the only show that enables women to share their own secrets and insights to wellness, one story at a time.
Thanks, Paul. Hey, everybody. Happy Thursday afternoon. It is a rainy day here in Southern California. I trust that everyone is enjoying this slowdown time. I know it is not the best circumstances, but please do enjoy your time at home with your families, your loved ones, and just use this time to kind of reconnect with yourself. And also this is a great time to listen to podcasts. So here we go. This is Diane McConahay from MyJane. Welcome to MyJane, My Story. MyJane is a trusted advisor assisting to address our biggest health concerns like sleep, pain, and stress. We've done the research for you, evaluating and curating each low-dose MyJane box with the finest cannabis and hemp-based products, enabling more informed health and wellness choices. Our mission is to unite and empower women through community, education, and exploration of cannabis solutions. There is so much overwhelming information out there, so we decided we needed to come together and share stories by creating MyJane, My Story. This is a place to talk about real-life experiences so we can be better and do better by helping one another. Every journey is unique, and every path is special. We're extremely grateful to have our guests here to share with us. This is a non-judgmental space where every question is necessary to learn and shift our perspective on this plant. So I've been looking forward to today's guest for quite some time now. She is one of those passionate, brilliant, pioneer females in the cannabis industry who is truly paving a path for this plant and helping each of us understand the science behind it. Linda Klumpers grew up in the Netherlands. She earned an MS in neuroscience from the University of Amsterdam. During her training at the Leiden University Medical Center, Linda obtained a clinical pharmacology degree and a PhD in clinical pharmacology of cannabinoids. How cool is that? While doing her PhD studies, she worked at the Center for Human Drug Research in Leiden as a clinical scientist on a variety of clinical studies. Linda has been studying cannabinoids in humans since 2006, and she co-authored various peer-reviewed cannabinoid publications, including primary literature and book chapters. Her work received 5 honors and awards, including the BJCP Prize, handed out by the British Journal of Clinical Pharmacology. Noticing an urgent need for objective cannabis information and education in the United States, Linda founded Cannify in 2016. Cannify helps patients and clinicians with product and science matching via an online tool, which provides general and customized education. In 2018, Dr. Michael Tagan, another clinical pharmacologist, and Linda joined their advisory experiences as partners with Verdient Science. So welcome with me today, Linda Klumpers. Hi, Linda. How are you?
Hi, Diane. I'm doing good. It's so good to talk to you again.
Same with you. And you're in Colorado right now, right? How is it there?
Well, there's not much rain falling here, but it's actually very snowy after a really nice sunny day yesterday.
Good.
So quite the contrast.
Good. So you're probably inside staying warm and enjoying this, I would imagine.
Yeah, there's not much other choice, actually, because also here in Colorado, the coronavirus has led to quite some measures. So no more restaurants, schools are closed, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Well, we're in the same boat here just recently here in Orange County. So we're doing our best to enjoy it, right?
Yeah, no, that's right. You can make the best out of it.
Right.
I mean, as long as you're not sick, otherwise you're in a horrible situation, of course.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about cannabinoids. Can we talk about that? You are my cannabinoid heroine. You have studied so much. And I know when we talked before, I just was in awe of where you've come from. And so can you tell us about your studies and what brought you down this path with cannabis?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So you've already given quite the extensive introduction. And the reason why I started with neuroscience studies is because I'm super interested always in how things work, how people behave. Also now with coronavirus, you see some people who take the advice really seriously, otherwise less so. Why do people do what they do? And how can you manipulate that behavior in various ways? By talking to people, but also with drugs. And that was what my PhD studies were about. And also most of my education as a clinical pharmacologist. How can you change diseases with drugs, but also sometimes you want to see what happens in healthy people when you give them particular molecules.
Right.
And that is how I got to do my PhD. It's a primary interest, but also when I started with my PhD studies, which is already 14 years ago, the world looked different from what it looks like right now. And there was a compound group called cannabinoid antagonists
Interesting.
It was very popular. It's very interesting, actually. It is a group of compounds that had a very disgraceful disappearance, actually, from the market. And right now, the cannabinoid antagonists are under the interest of many different groups for new applications than what they were initially developed for. But I will talk about that actually during a journal club session next month, organized by the Can subdivision of the American Chemical Society. Mm-hmm. So I'm very excited about that. That was actually how I got into the cannabis research space. So starting off with, how do we test these compounds in humans? And how can you do that when you stimulate the cannabinoid system? And from there, trying to understand how cannabinoids work in the body, how different administration methods can be applied. So I'm giving this long monologue here, Diane, but that is how I got in this space.
Well, it's so interesting because, 2006 is when you were starting to study this, right? So like you said, 14 years, that's a long time ago, really, in this space. So what turned you on to cannabis, though? Being in pharmacology, I wouldn't think that cannabis would be a part of that it would just be regular, or just conventional drugs that we know today. How did you even find about cannabinoids and what turned you on to that?
Yeah, I think that a lot of people think that plant products, etc., are not so popular, but I think that that is not always so true. Of course, working with plant products can sometimes make it hard to have patents, etc. I'm not so good at that commercialization part, but I know that. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, it's very important to realize that a far majority of the compounds that we use today as medicines actually come from plants. So,
interesting.
Aspirin comes from poplars, willows. So plants are a very, very important part of modern day medicine as well, not just ancient medicine. Yeah,
we're not really taught that. We're just taught that, these chemicals, these man-made chemicals. We don't think of those general things that we just go and pick up off the counter. That these are coming from plants too. So that's really interesting to hear. I'm glad that you're saying that.
But I can imagine, because if you have a sterile white tablet in front of you, it doesn't really resemble anything like a plant. So
no. Yeah. So, and I'm so glad you're here in the U.S. to share all this with us. What did you, when you came here, or is that why you came here? Because you were seeing that was lacking so much here? Okay. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it was actually a group of people who wanted to work with me. That's the real reason why I came here. They read my publications. I was also recommended by someone in the United States who I used to work with. She used to live in Colorado until recently, and now she teaches in California, actually.
Oh,
also.
Okay.
Yeah, and what I saw when I came here was that I know that this field is different from some other fields in some aspects. There are very many similarities. But on the other hand, when I go to a pharmacology conference, it is a very different audience and a different sentiment than when I go to a cannabis conference. I think because of the suppression and of this plant, that people have strong emotions about that they are very pro, so very supporting the plant, and some people are very against the plant. Mm-hmm. And because of that, I think also because of that, a lot of information that is given about this plant is not always factual. It is sometimes very emotional or driven by other motivations. And I thought, I need to do something about this, because the objective science is lacking. If you are way too positive about a plant, and then mistakes can happen. And mistakes can be damaging for the entire industry.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah, and on the other hand, when you're very anti the plant, then people might not use the plant for its benefits. So neither side is good if you go too far to one of the extremes. So therefore I thought, let's just tell people what we know and what we don't know, and then they can hopefully make better decisions.
I like that. You're kind of the one in between. You're telling the benefits and the side effects. And that's what I liked about, some of the speeches that I've heard from you is that being an advocate myself and using cannabis for, my own health reasons, it's like, I just want to shout from the rooftops, cannabis is great. We all need to use cannabis, but it's good to have somebody like you that says, wait a minute, we need to come back in and really, really talk about the benefits and the side effects, right? And that's what you were seeing, to just come and kind of be that voice for the plant. And I think that's great.
Yeah, indeed. We need to, not everybody is the same. So for some people, things might work. For others, it might not work, or it might work in a different way. And those are all avenues that we need to explore. From ancient times, these plants, the plants were also pretty different back then. But okay, don't take that into consideration for various indications. But are there actually also particular indications that we still need to study it for? And you're actually studying on humans, right? You're actually doing these things as like practical applications for, let's use this topical or tincture or whatever it is that you guys are doing. You are using humans, correct? You're not just putting it in a petri dish and watching it grow. Yeah, no, that's a very, very important, I wanted to say nuance, but that wouldn't even be the right word. It's a very important comment you're making there, because a lot of information that you give that you read online is sometimes very factual, but what they don't say is that this was studied in a rodent.
Right.
And that's not always 100% translatable.
Right. Well, like you said, we're all different, right? We are all different. And so we're going to be different from animals. And, so what is some of the science that you can tell us behind the plant, the benefits, the side effects that you see are most important for us to know that we seem to be looking over?
Oh, yeah. There's so much. So one thing, which is something that I see luckily changing a lot, is that cannabis molecules can be pretty dirty. So in the sense that they work on many different systems in the body, which you can think, that's really good. But on the other hand, it's also very hard to control what they do. Okay. So if they make you feel high, if they give you the munchies, and if they do all these things at the same time, they relieve pain, it's very hard to actually isolate one single effect out of that. So that is, I think, very important to realize. They have a big effect on our brains. And that is something we should always take into consideration, because the side effects that go together with that working on the brain are sometimes very hard for people who don't want these brain side effects.
Right.
And that is something that I hope I can be a part of a study, studying that better and seeing how to mitigate that. We just did a grant application for studying that better. And then the other thing, what is important to know is what you actually also just mentioned. We are all different. Yeah. And that is not just between, for example, you and me, but it's also sick people versus healthy people. Their bodies are different. And the cannabinoid system has a function of keeping the body in balance. That means if something is out of balance, the cannabinoid system starts compensating for that. And then if you measure the cannabinoid system of the sick person, they say, the cannabinoid system is deregulated. We need to do something about it. That is one thing, of course, to take into account. But the other thing to take into account is that someone with this different looking cannabinoid system might respond to the same dose very different from someone else.
True,
and again, that is so important to realize. People are different, therefore responses are different. But in general, regarding benefits and side effects, a lot is known and still a lot is unknown or still under investigation. Pain, spasticity and multiple sclerosis, anti-epilepsy. Anxiety is influenced by cannabinoids, which is a funny thing, by the way, talking about benefits and side effects, because cannabis can decrease anxiety, but it can also increase anxiety.
True.
It's an interesting mechanism.
Right.
So these are some important effects for sure that people need to know about.
Yeah, and so then that brings us to Cannify, because that's kind of what you're doing for Cannify, correct? Is you're kind of helping us to know what you're helping consumers and brands understand what works for us. Is that tell us a little bit about Cannify and what you're doing?
So what is Cannify? With Cannify, we try to help people who are considering using products. And how we do that is that we give them the information of the science that we know that is relevant to them. And also we give them a match with products.
Okay.
And
nice.
How we do that is that we make use of all the literature and also raw data, help people with finding answers about potential workings of particular cannabinoid compounds, dosage and administration forms. So it's really a test. You can fill it in. It is for free online. So unlike some other tests, what you need to pay for, and after that you get a personalized report and products with matching percentages. So people can try that out. And
that's also, Cannify.com, right?
It's Cannify.us.
.us. Okay, so it's CANNIFY.us. And I did take the test, and it's actually really cool. It does ask a lot of very detailed questions, and it was interesting to see what kind of shot out at the end. It was like, oh, okay, well, these kind of things may work for me for these issues. It was really interesting, and I really recommend everybody go on there and just check it out and see what they're doing. It's Cannify.us. Thank you for that, Linda. I think it's so great because people don't know what to do. They don't know where to go. They have no idea. And so to have some guidance, I think, is so important for everybody right now.
Yeah. Oh, I'm really glad that you liked it. And the website, it might need some more working, but on the right top, you can also find a button for education.
Nice.
So for people who want to get educated, read. We write about the plants, about the chemicals, about the body, the pharmacology. And if you see something is missing or something is too hard, because mind you, I'm a scientist, so I might sometimes maybe not write so friendly to non-scientists. So click the feedback button. Tell us what you would like to see different. That's very important. Just we are humans, so communicate with us.
Right. No, and that's so great. I know, because sometimes we think scientists just kind of like, nope, this is the way it is, because you're going by data and research and science, and so it's nice to have that that humanoid part of it too. So thank you for doing that. Are there certain trends that you're seeing that you think we need to be aware of, before we close? Anything that you want to share with us, or maybe with the coronavirus, or maybe not? What are you seeing that you'd like to leave us with today?
Well, depending on the time we have, I also like to zoom out a little bit, because the trends that we see nowadays, well, we can look at it from day to day or month to month, but it's also good sometimes to realize where we came from.
Right.
Because throughout the history, cannabis was already used in such old civilizations in Asia. And then, let's say in the 1800s, it then came to Western medicine, upon which it was suppressed by politics, and then came the flower power time with recreational use, so very different use. And from that, there was this whole booming also in cannabinoid science, breeding, the varieties, the cultivars changed, and then we got the suppression again in 1980s, and now we're kind of reinventing again what has been known for so long, plus all the extra science.
Right.
And that's just so cool. So, on a very high level, that is the overall trend we're in. But the reason why I'm saying that is that we can talk about trends now, but I think there are several ways that we have to look at.
Yeah.
So smoking the plant. Now you see since a few years that the concentrates are becoming much more popular. And there will be also coinciding with the developing science, a lot of different developments going on in the coming time. It's very exciting.
I'm definitely going to keep in contact with you. You can keep us informed with what's the new research, because it's every day it seems like there's something new coming out, and it's so fun to see. And I'm so glad that you're a part of this. And thank you for being here with us and sharing with us today, Linda. I really appreciate you coming on. And we would like to have you down the road and just share more with us, as to what some of the new news is with cannabis.
Oh, I would love to, because there are some other developments going on. As you said, Corona, but also other sad things like all the layoffs that are going on in the industry. I can go into detail about that more too, but I know time is short now.
Yeah.
It was really good.
We could go on for another hour. I know we could. We have talked before in long lengths, and you and I could talk forever about this. So for another day, we'll definitely come back. But I really appreciate you coming on today and sharing with us. And we need more people like Linda out there to, really get the word out as to what the science is behind this plant. The little quote that I love, this quote, because this is perfect for today, is, who knew there's so much science in simple pot smoking? And you want to know who that's by? That's by Linda Klumpers. She's our quote girl of the day. So thank you, Linda. I really appreciate you being here, and we will definitely see you again. Stay safe out there and enjoy your time at home. And I thank everyone for being here and for being a part of the MyJane community. If you would like to share this podcast, everyone's home listening, please make sure they find MyJane, My Story, so they can feel better. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at MyJane Social, and LinkedIn at MyJane LLC. But also just come back anytime, and we're here to listen. We're here to inform you and let you know what's going on. And take care, everyone. Stay hydrated, eat your fruits and veggies, and rest. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in to MyJane, My Story. If you want to learn more, you can join the MyJane community at myjane.com. Get instant access to our Facebook group, Facebook community, educational resources, and updates on MyJane products and special events. And for personal attention right now, you can also pick up the phone and call 833-MyJane2. That's MyJane2. And speak to your own wellness concierge, because it's time to own your wellness. Be well.